Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today we're back after missing last week. Things happened, things went down last week, but we're back again this week. And gosh, that Mandalorian show is blowing up. People going crazy, falling over themselves, patting each other on the back on how much they love it. And I just thought it would just be really apt at this time to bring in the other half of the Peppa Pig podcast, the other resident of the Star Wars Spelled Out Towers, Matt Frost. How you going, mate?
Hi, Josh. How's the asteroid field going?
Yeah, well, in case you didn't already know this, I was in hospital last week with a kidney stone, which I do not recommend if you can avoid that. Drink a lot of water, drink a lot of chamomile tea, all that kind of stuff, which I thought I'd always been doing, but sometimes it gets you anyway. But if you felt the need to wee all the time, drink a lot of water and go see your doctor straight away, so you're not in hospital being pumped with painkillers all night, because not great.
Oh, buddy, you needed to have a spell in the Bacta tank, did you?
Yeah, but I mean, say what you will, but have to credit Australia's fantastic health service, where I went in, went to the emergency room, got put into the doctors, put in the hospital, taken care of all night, and then walk out the front door. Thanks for coming. We'll follow up with you in a few weeks. Done and done. So can't really complain. So yeah, was a little bit sore there for a little bit. So I did take the week off last week on the old podcast, but back this week, and we just did a bit of a double session recording some Peppa Pig podcasts. And I just thought, hey Matt, why don't you hang around and we'll talk a little Star Wars for the people while we're in the middle of this Mandalorian thing.
This Mandalorian thing, yeah.
Now, Matt, as you know, may or may not know, had mixed feelings on the first series. He even wrote a song about it. If you haven't heard that, find the episode that he was on before this, or the Bad Motivators. I think it's on a few episodes. I think I even put it on, I think it was Rogue One. I think one of the episodes I guessed it on Rogue One. I think I got them to play it as well, just to get the maximum exposure.
I don't think I knew that.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Hawes was happy to do it. Hawes and Johnny seemed happy to do it, but yeah, I don't know whether they knew who the Boomtown Rats were any more than the Bad Motivators did, though.
No, that yeah, I think that skipped them for a couple of sensitive reasons, but yeah.
Well, at least they thought that you just wrote the song yourself. It was very impressive, but nonetheless. So we should probably preface. Maybe I'll let you do it, mate, since you're here. You don't have a hatred of the Mandalorian. I don't think that's fair to say. I think you just, like to, put your hand up against the gushing a little bit.
Yeah, that's probably about the extent of it. I was a little bit. I'm a little bit overall disappointed with the show, but it doesn't bother me or keep me up at night. and like I love seeing people enjoy things too, but it does sometimes. It just gets a little bit too effusive and just over the top sometimes. Like it's not as much as it's a show that I think is great that people enjoy. It's not reinventing many wheels. So,
But the funny thing is that, the way that the world is now, we might have even brought this up when you were on last time, is that people are entitled to like things as much or as little as they like. And you've been very just like, well, I wrote a silly song to say I didn't think it was amazing, and I'll chime in and make a joke about things. I don't really go jump into someone's messages and tell them they're stupid for liking something and they should go jump or something like that.
Oh God, no! Unless you can make it lighthearted and fun. If you don't like something, like, there's not really much point, to be honest. Like, if it, I've got serious reasons why I don't think it's all that good, but they're only just opinions. They're not like, it's not. I don't even take my opinions seriously. I wouldn't expect anyone else to.
Well, the funny thing is now we're living in this, like, I think last time you were on was definitely pre-Rise of Skywalker. I'm almost positive it was. Maybe you've been on since. I don't think so, though. I have to double check. But, that was a movie that divided people a lot. And then all of a sudden, there were a lot of people who kind of traditionally have just loved everything. Were a bit like, oh, I don't know about this. Oh, that was a bit of a, I don't know. So I think it did change some people's perspectives who are always a bit kind of like, if you don't love it, where do you get off not loving it?
Yeah, I'm not really big for the, like,
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, I'm not really big on the positivity over everything else. It's I sort of like people to be proportionate. Like, you can say what you want about something, but just remember it's just a television show or just a movie, and keep it proportionate to that. Like, it's seeing the rise of Skywalker, that wasn't particularly for me either, but it didn't really bother me too much like either. But we both follow Australian rules football, and we both follow the cricket. We're very keen on those sorts of things, and I can be extremely irrational following my football team, and I can be extremely irrational following particularly Test cricket. And and I hate that about, like, that I get that irrational about it. And the last thing I want to do is bring that sort of irrational barracking for something I like into movies and pop culture. It's just like, oh no, can't handle that. But honestly, some people do seem to act like I act around my football team, around the movies and television shows and characters they like, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm trying to get away from that.
Well, the thing is, like, if you go to the football and you're watching your team and they're not performing or whatever, and you want to give them a bit of a yell and contribute to the noise, I think you feel like you're making some sort of an influence because you're in the thing and the people are physically on the, they're on the field. You might be able to, especially if it's a sparsely attended game, you could probably, like, I know you went to a couple of, because the football moved basically out of Victoria, where most of the matches take place, and your team, the Western Bulldogs, actually played some home games in Adelaide where you live, so you got to see them play in your hometown, probably not in front of that many people, where you could actually probably yell out at Marcus Bontempelli and he might actually have heard you.
He'd probably look up and go, what?
Yeah. so if it's not like, if you'd been watching the Mandalorian play it on the football field and you yelled out, you're like, hey, Favreau, hey, got enough sunscreens, mate. Sunscreens, mate.
That is exactly the point. Like, I reckon, like, if I yell out at the football afterwards, I feel stupid. Like, But I feel like people yell out at social media, like tagging like creative people in and stuff like that, and it's basically the same thing. It's like, like,
you were soft as pooter, Filoni. Bloody put your head over the ball.
So
stop sitting back and watching it happen.
Get in there and direct.
Get in there and direct. You got lucky last year. They're carrying you. Dallas Howard's carrying you.
Yes. Look, how close a metaphor is it really? Like, and I think, look, I'm not going to weigh in on anything even remotely controversial, but I think sometimes when now that we're in a show that has episodes, if you look at them at quarters, like, I think sometimes some people get really cross at half time because they don't really know what's going to happen in the third quarter. So, and and sometimes you can have a bad quarter, but
Oh, well, case in point, like the first episode of the Mandalorian, everybody lost their minds. The Boba Fett armor and the cowboy and the Cobb Vanth and the Sand People, and then the week after they do a complete absolute left turn, which I actually really loved. I really loved that episode. You got the spooky spiders and the egg eating. I know was a little on the nose for some people, which is completely fair enough. And people were like, "Oh, well, it's dropped the ball," like it's like you said, it's the second quarter kind of. You come out strong first quarter, got a few goals on the board, and then second quarter, you made a few changes. You put a few new faces and things, doing things a little bit differently. People kind of turned on it and kind of were like, "Oh, you start throwing words around like, filler, bloody filler."
You just filler.
You're just nothing but filler, mate. And then this week they they go back again. You got your bloody Mandos and jetpacks and all that kind of stuff, and everybody's patting each other on the back again in the premiership quarter and the third quarter. Like I know this doesn't quite work because there's 8 or 10 episodes, but it's sort of the turning on the dice, really. I mean, you are a horror guy. You like scary movies. I don't like. I'm a chicken.
True.
I don't like scary movies.
True.
Unless they're sort of really, really silly, over the top ones like your Brain Deads and stuff like that, which I just find amusing because they're so over the top.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the sort of the horror tinges in the scary spiders?
So even if you go back further than that, the first episode I did sort of like the big the monster,
like the tremors kind of.
The thing I didn't really like about that was we've already had the get the villagers together episode, and we've already had a kill the beast for the reward sort of episode. So I was just really as well acted and because I really like Mickey from Scream 2. He's the discount Boba Fett. He was.
Mickey from Scream 2.
Yeah.
I would say he was the guy from Go when I had Jess Schrader on. She hadn't seen it. I was like, answer the question, Claire. That's always the bit that I remember.
Very much so.
Was he the killer in the end of that? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, Mickey. Yeah.
Yep. I have seen Scream 2 at least a couple of times.
Yeah, I've probably seen it a few more times than that. Somewhere between 2 and 100.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Is that the go-to? Is 2 the superior film?
I wouldn't say the first 2 are very strong, but I think sometimes you don't choose what your comfort film is. Your comfort film chooses you. So I think Scream 2 maybe chose me. So I wouldn't really say.
I think I've probably seen Scary Movie 2 more than I've seen Scream 2.
Oh, Josh, don't.
At least the first one. Maybe not the second one, but I think the first one's just the same.
I've never seen one. I've never seen any of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very offensive to me. But so I liked that tremorish, even though it was very predictable, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. But in that second one, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to go on with the spiders. I love the spiders, by the way. You're correct there. And I liked the
Frog Lady.
Yeah, she was great. I've got no problems there either. But the sort of the setup in the cockpit with the 2 X-wings and stuff like that they're just like the cops, aren't they? Just like the highway patrol. Yeah.
Talking about being sold a lemon. Like I've been playing the which I've just completed, but I kind of haven't gone back to the Star Wars Squadrons game.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's the flight sim, and it's kind of set at that time period, like post Return of the Jedi. It's like, the rebellion are trying to establish order, and the Empire are kind of clinging on to power and blah blah blah, and it's all like save the galaxy, destroy the Empire. It's like, actually you just end up doing highway patrol, basically, doing random breath tests and pulling over bogans.
You're just putting stickers on Star Destroyers that has been in the system for too long. It's just like, mate.
Yeah. You just canarying them.
This is a 3 parsec zone, mate.
Yeah, this ship isn't roadworthy. Yeah, I think you'd be a bit bummed. I don't know. They sort of Filoni and the other guy. They kind of look like they'd been around for a while. Maybe they've been busted down to sort of highway patrol. We're like, look, we've been in enough sort of scary dogfights. We're quite happy to see out our winter years just pulling over drunk drivers.
Yeah, but all that was good. Look, the egg thing, I like you say, I watch a lot of horror movies and I like a lot of what would be called transgressive fiction, like that's designed to shock you, like and sort of stun you a bit, offend you a bit. So yeah, I don't mind them mucking around with tone like that. It didn't hit for me, like especially the last one where he popped a little egg in his mouth. I'm like, no. Yeah,
thanks. They kind of.
But it was part of a bigger story, that you get in the third quarter and the little Yoda kids learnt to appreciate life and all that sort of stuff. So
yeah,
they had a bigger game plan when they shuffled their midfield, but it did a.
Well, it is the premiership quarter, the third quarter, as well as they do call it that.
But I think that last episode, what was it called? The Heiress?
The Heiress, yeah.
I think that's probably the most I've enjoyed the entire show. Easily, actually.
Yep.
Because, him finding out he'd been in a cult the whole time was just so funny to me.
I really like that too.
He's
like he's a Mormon or he's he's just, how embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
All the other Mandalorians are kind of laughing at him.
Yeah. And
which explains a lot because
makes it's actually made me like the first season more. Like,
because I've had these discussions when I had Catherine and maybe even when Jess was on as well and Turbo, we were talking about like, how has he not heard of the Jedi? Like, how does he not know all this stuff? So he's just been like living his shit. He's been like a bunker. He's been like Kimmy Schmidt. He's living in this bunker, completely oblivious from the rest of the world, and being kind of sold a narrative, and then kind of sent out into the world to get bounties, and then go back to his little enclave with all his little cult mates.
I found the whole covert thing, keeping their helmets on, the video game cutscenes where he'd go get a new piece of armor made, the this is the way. I found all that sort of stuff really cringy, and so to find out that that's all part of being in a cult, that's just is a great payoff to me personally. Like,
it's like this is the way is the new no leader.
Make the galaxy great again. So
it's.
Schadenfreude again, but but that's now made it interesting for me. Like, because how does he reconcile that? I'm suddenly actually interested in his character, and I haven't really been. So, like the whole learning to be a guardian and dad thing, it's been done so many times before. I was just like, well, of course. Like, he slowly softens over time and learns to become a better dad. It's like a Tom Cruise movie. Like, it's not very interesting. So,
but now he's got to learn how to. Yeah, there's a big world out there, and does he sort of break away from the pack? If he's still going to look for more Mandalorians, or does he even want to now? He's just like, oh well, they all kind of pick on me now. I don't know whether I want to. I kind of liked it back when I was in the Book of Mormon. Have you seen the Book of Mormon?
I have. Probably one of the most enjoyable nights I've ever had at the theatre, I think.
I've seen it a couple of times. I saw it in London, and I saw it when it came to Australia as well. But, he might have the same sort of crisis of faith that, I can't remember his name, not Elder Cunningham, it's the other one, isn't it? Elder Price has. But, look, it does offer up a lot of sort of interesting things, and I kind of wonder whether that was... whether that was the plan all along, or whether they'd sort of written themselves in a corner, because it was always that sort of, like obviously you start pulling in characters from the cartoons and stuff, and they're all flying, they're pulling their helmets off every 5 minutes and stuff. Or whether it was just sort of, I'm not too sure.
I don't know. I think I give them a bit of credit there. I think it was pretty organic. I think they probably had at least an inkling they were going to go that way. Yeah, I'm not. As much as I can say, look, it's not working for me because it's a little bit predictable and stuff like that. I've got no bones about them using a predictable episodic format, like leaning back on some really solid tropes to make a successful TV show, because it's their first Star Wars TV show. So if that's what they want to do, and if that's fine. It's probably a sound business move. And it's not bad by any stretch, but for the first time, I'm now actually interested in the show because.
Well, it does mean that Pedro Pascal might have to start turning up to work every week, though. If he decides he's going to take the helmet, you can't just leave it to the stuntman every time. He's like, well, I better, up a day rate or something here if I've got to turn up. If I can't just be doing ADR in the background. Although I think I did read he was on a little bit more set this time. I think last year he was around for 2 days or something, and then just ADR the rest. It was all the stunt.
He was on the set just sitting in a deck chair going, I wouldn't walk like that.
Yeah, walk better.
Do it again, but better.
To get better, more better.
I think that because I don't really, I only have the vaguest notion of who Bo-Katan is, and I have the vaguest notion of what Death Watch is. So all those things they weren't payoffs to me at all.
I mean, I'd watched the cartoons, and I knew the name, and I knew that it was Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica had done the voice, and obviously
she did the voice in the cartoon as well.
Yeah, so that's why she just looks like. If you see the cartoon, she just looks like they've just put her in there basically.
Okay,
So
yeah. Oh, that's because because everyone, I haven't seen Battlestar Galactica. I maybe saw the first couple of episodes.
Yep.
And then I just didn't go on with it. Would have been on terrestrial TV, so I would have had to have stayed up at a particular time to watch it.
Yeah.
But her delivery I thought she was excellent, in the episode, particularly because there's still some very ropey acting in this television show, and her delivery of the lines, this is the way, first
she's kind of mocking him to his face,
and saying, make America great again, buddy. And then later on, sort of doing it as a little bit of a friendship stuff was just really, really good acting and writing. So you'd almost say I'm gushing about this, wouldn't you?
I know. Look at this. You've turned around. You've got your little pennant out. You've got your little Bo-Katan badge on your duffel coat.
I don't know who you are, but yep, I'm. I did think the the Quarren. The squid face people.
Yeah.
I didn't think they the having somebody they've got all their tentacle faces. You might as well drawn a
curly mustache
on them. We're going to betray you.
Yeah. Come a bit closer to the thing. To be honest, I wasn't expecting them to. I thought that they'd F with him at some stage, but I didn't think it would be lock the baby into the water and knock him into the thing. But,
I've learned to expect that it's usually going to be that obvious. So.
Yeah, I did like how the Mon Cal seemed to be just a bunch of pricks as well. that they kind of look down on everybody, including the Mandalorians, and even the guy who's just like the dock worker in his little woolly jumper, and then just takes him for a ride, gets his ship flyable, and just kind of sticks a bunch of, they look like the inside of a Barnacle Bill's or something, like a seafood restaurant where he just had the nets and stuff hanging from the walls. It was the Frying Dutchman from The Simpsons, the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet.
Yeah, flash fire buffalo in 30 seconds. So.
So they've kind of managed. I mean, one of the things that I always when this whole show sort of started, I was a bit kind of what are they going to do with this baby Yoda? Is he just going to be luggage the whole time? And they kind of seem to, have a bunch of supporting characters who he can be sort of handed off to when needed.
Yeah.
As you go along, whether it's sort of Amy Sedaris, or Frog Lady this episode and things. And I mean, I suppose there'll be a point where he kind of comes front and center, but he's it's sort of come in, some cute reactions, cause a little bit of a ruckus.
Yeah.
Get handed off.
He's pretty boring, to be honest. I'm not part of the cult of Baby Yoda by any
Well, the
stretch.
problem is it's the Luke Skywalker problem, isn't it? Like, you can't have Baby Yoda doing your Force and solving your problems every week. You've either got to take him out of the equation or give him something else to do.
Yeah, they already leaned too hard into that in the first season. I thought.
Well, yeah, they haven't done that yet. So
Yeah.
there'll be a point where they won't be able to help themselves. But we're only sort of 3 episodes in at the moment, so yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
Like that handing off him to the handball before he goes off and does something truly actiony and dangerous, so you don't just see him in a baby Bjorn just swinging around while he's getting shot at with laser bolts and stuff like that. Is a bit like, I like the Frog Lady thing because it was sort of like returning a favour.
Yeah.
And yeah, the puppetry of those Froggos was pretty.
Hey, that's their word. Only they're allowed to use that word, mate.
Oh God, we're normally talking about dad things. So my Soraya, we call her Frog and Froggy and Froggo. So yeah, I've just a slip
That's
of the
all right.
tongue.
I've got one of my. I've got one.
Yeah,
of my notes.
no,
Okay for me
I'm
to say
friends
it.
with the frog, Josh. So,
They don't mind at all.
yeah, look, I'll show you a photo
They
of me and
do.
my frog.
When you're not there, they do mind, Matt. They do.
Yeah,
They just indulge you.
So the frog people that but the Amy Sedaris thing, her tone is all over the place. Like, every time she's on, she sucks me right out of it. I'm just doesn't work at all.
Well, I don't know. I don't mind it, but she doesn't belong. But they don't really try to make her belong.
Yeah.
Like, she's just sort of almost just like, what's this all about?
Yeah,
You're a bug and you're a thing. And
when she goes, I don't even know who to complain to. I'm like, is this a Seinfeld episode? Like, it's just like, I know it's bad when I'm audibly groaning when I'm watching something. So I'm just going, oh.
it is funny. It is definitely like, but you don't get that kind of, like, traditionally we've just been dealing with Star Wars movies, and you just don't get that kind of casting in a Star Wars movie. I mean, I think the most jarring casting for me in Star Wars movies has been, all the Australian actors that turned up in the prequels, because you're just like, there's bloody Damo from Neighbours, and there's so-and-so from that, and there's so-and-so from that, and probably Benicio del Toro, just because he's so really famous. Known. And you kind of just go, I'm just looking at Benicio del Toro. Or, I mean, I think Woody Harrelson might be slightly like that too, because I'm just like, it's Woody Harrelson. Like, if I see John Boyega or Daisy Ridley or other people, it's just like, it's just them. They're just playing those characters. But for those two particularly were sort of, I don't know. Laura Dern maybe a little bit as well. Just
Jack Thompson
familiar.
Took me out a little bit.
I
thought he did a great job. So
yeah, but I just couldn't. I didn't believe his accent, and that was the same with Joel Edgerton as well.
Yeah.
And all of those, even as convincing as they are, you just sort of you can hear it. Like, you can hear it.
You can hear their secret dirty shame of being Australians just lurking underneath. You bogan, like.
Yeah, but there's like Attack of the Clones deleted scenes where, like, Claudia Carvin is in it as well. And, and it's sort of, and Graham Blundell, and there's a whole bunch of these, like, Australian actors who turn up in things just. Yeah, which is just weird, because they're like, even if you watch, like, Lord of the Rings, though, and they're all doing British accents, like your Hugo Weavings and your David Wenhams and all those kind of people, like, doesn't worry me at all. Like, for some, it just washes over me.
Yeah, they bore me in equal measures. So.
But then Hugo Weaving, in The Matrix, his American accent sounds totally fake to me in that. So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sort of maybe I'm expecting too much from my Australian actors and stuff.
Yeah, I honestly, none of this casting in any of the Star Wars movies bothered me, and I thought mostly they get it, even in the prequels. And again, like what we were talking about before, if they want to cast people like where their tone and their lines are off, for me, I don't really mind. Like, because everything I've read about Amy Sedaris is people have loved her. So what is it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care if I don't like her. Like, yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. But I like them experimenting with tone. Like, that egg thing, they experimented with a dark comedy tone. It didn't work for me. Like, I'm just like, it's just a bit gross. You did it one too many times. It was part of a bigger story you were telling, but I can understand why people would be really irked by that.
I just think that they thought it was funny and they just kept doing it. I don't think they really gave it any more thought than that. Like, I know that there was, controversy that it was insensitive and things as well. And, if people felt that way, perfectly understandable and perfectly reasonable. But I just think they were like, it would be funny if he keeps eating those eggs.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was about as far as it went.
Thought, but I thought they just...
Because they're like, well, it's been funnier every time he's eaten something before. It's been funny.
Yeah.
Like, why would it not be funny that he eats the eggs?
I think the fact that he eventually, in the next episode, got it, what they were, and then changed his tune and wanted one as a pet. I think that shows where they were trying to go with it, but they just didn't get it. Really, didn't do it.
Well, that's
very
the thing.
well.
Like with this, the way these are shot, it's not like they would have quickly fixed the edit in a week. These things have been in the can for a while.
It's like it is what it is now at this point.
Yeah, there's no major course correction going on in the editing suite down there at Disney.
No.
Although it is only, last week's episode was only 35 minutes long as opposed to the other ones have been sort of 40, 50 minutes. Maybe there is 5 minutes of Baby Yoda eating egg footage on the cutting room floor.
Just cut it out.
There's a whole beep. There could be a whole beep lot that they drop him off. That's the last time we see him, and then he turns up at the end. There's the one bit with the egg hatches. Maybe there is 5 minutes of footage.
There's only one
Baby
left.
Yoda. Yeah, he's still just eating them as they go along, and you're like, oh shit, we better cut that out.
Yeah. I think you should actually start up your YouTube channel again and just put that out there.
Put the tinfoil hat on. Just put get the big deleted scenes. Kathy Kennedy to blame.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Kathy Kennedy eats children by proxy.
Yeah. I don't know. I that's such a corner of the internet. Anytime I get even the slightest whiff of that on a YouTube thing, I just, not interested in it, and it kind of disappears from the algorithm. I wouldn't even know if those people are still at it or not. Maybe.
I'm glad we live in a time where people use the word algorithm on a daily basis. Like,
just accepting that that we can control, the information that's put, because of the algorithm.
The algorithm. No.
Algorithm. This is the algorithm. Yeah, you're part of a cult.
We kind of are.
Look, I'm excited to see where it goes next. It's taking interesting turns. I feel like they're not going to jump straight onto Ahsoka Tano now. I think they're probably going to. His ship's going to break. I mean, how many times can this ship break down, really, to sort of put him in another spot? I think something different's got to slightly happen there. But, I don't know.
Well, it's almost, it's not quite as bad as Knight Rider in that, he doesn't have to hit turbo boost every episode to fix the problem. But, it's sort of kind of there. So, some things do tend to happen every episode in this. So
ship breaks down, get stuck somewhere, solve problem, get back on ship. Ship breaks down somewhere else, solve problem.
At least Kid Yoda isn't the turbo boost of every episode.
Yeah. Well, that's like this. They've gotten this far yet where they haven't had to sort of pull that lever yet. Like, I'm sure it'll probably come with at the moment the stakes are sort of the highest, I guess. But I think also the fact that they've already sort of established they're making at least one more season of this, that it is a marathon, not a sprint. You're not going to get this resolution But and I think that discussion was happening a lot the week before with the spider eggs episode. People were just like, oh, what are they stopping here for? This doesn't advance anything. It's like, well, hey man, they're playing the long game here. Things are just going to happen at a shorter pace. You're in a TV serial basically. You're not in a movie.
Yeah, I don't mind it being episodic if that's a choice they want to make. Like, because a lot of it does seem like a real homage to 80s television. Like, and that's fine. Like, it definitely wasn't what I was expecting, and I was a little bit disappointed that they aimed that low. Like for not only the nostalgia of all those Star Wars buttons, but also the nostalgia for that episodic type TV. But it's still a fair choice. And like if the Mando wants to have a big diagonal red stripe up the side of the Razor Crest, like the A-Team van, and a little woof, 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 woof thing like Kit does in the front of it, it's fine.
Like, what else would you put in there? Like, would you have a Cousin Belky or something turn up? Or
Well, it does. It reminds me a little bit of a show of like, I don't know if you ever saw it. It was awful. It was an awful show. It was called Highway to Heaven. And there was
I was never allowed to watch that stuff as a kid.
Oh no, this was the most family friendly.
Oh really?
Stuff you could ever imagine. And it was about this dude who was an angel that had been kicked out of heaven because he had to go back.
I think I have heard of that.
Yeah, go back to do more good on the earth, and so he'd sort of wander from village to village, which was by village to village I mean American town to American town.
Yeah, and
get a job, and then slowly help somebody to rediscover their love of life or solve some problem, or so it's got it plays into all that sort of ostensibly an hour-long episodic 80s television, and it's fine. Like it's good that they do that. They've got a bigger story they're telling too. So
yeah, I just think of 80s television. I'm thinking of stuff like Metal Mickey and all these sort of like crappy British
sitcoms.
Ones.
So
yeah, that's more of a sitcom, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's more that hour-long stuff. I'm thinking like Street Hawk and Airwolf.
Airwolf.
Yeah. Oh, that's what he could do. Like if he wanted to tart up his Razor Crest like a Airwolf. That's some kick-ass music, that TV show. So, there's plenty of stuff that they can rip off if they run out of, Macquarie art and Kurosawa films. Like they can just dive straight into 80s
I think
television.
They've got to be at the bottom of that Macquarie archive by now. I mean, the guy couldn't have produced that much stuff. They're just going to go into his other things. Like I would have tweeted out saying that he's probably got some questionably sexy Star Wars art that he made for himself that no one's ever seen, that they just have to dig out. They're like, well, we just need the episode with the 3-titty Twi'lek because that's all that we've got left.
I like the idea of them rocking up at the house of his daughter or son or whatever, like in a black van, and a heap of Lucasfilm people come out and like search the house looking for lost prints.
They're going to have something else.
There's got to be something else.
We've hit a dead end. What's he got? Has he got some sketchbooks? What's this? Is this anything?
Meanwhile, their Japanese team's doing the same to Kurosawa's like estate. Like surely there's another film. Like
there's must some B-rolls here somewhere that we can get something out of. Yeah, and I mean, I get it. I mean, it's honouring the legacy and stuff, but they've got hundreds of talented people at Lucasfilm who could probably come up with all kinds of ideas and things. That I don't think it needs to be leaned on as hard as it is. But
no.
Look, I totally get it. I mean, I enjoy the show, but I totally get the, why they played it reasonably safe in a lot of respects to launch this thing. Like using, Mandalorian's really popular characters, familiar settings, familiar locations, and blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I get all that. At the same time, there are risks, and things that they have done a bit differently, and certainly cast wise. I remember when it all sort of started and going like, Nick Nolte and Carl Weathers, huh? This is going to be interesting. I mean, they managed to rein Nick Nolte in pretty well. I mean, people sort of obviously gone after Gina Carano with some of the questionable opinions that she has. But I'm sure if you did a little bit of digging on Nick Nolte, you'd probably find a few skeletons in the closet somewhere.
Arguably worse, but yeah, I just get the distinct impression that her character dies this season already because she doesn't seem to.
She's ready to burn it all down.
Yeah. But I'm not. No interest in commenting on her. She's not somebody.
Nah.
Not somebody who probably shares my personal beliefs by the sounds of it. So,
nah. And I don't want to kick to the face if I can help it as well.
no, yeah. You don't share my personal beliefs, so I'm a little bit scared of you. So
yeah, I don't want you showing up at my front door, with a list with a printout of, the transcript and an axe to grind. That's the last thing I need.
I think, but the Nick Nolte and Carl Weathers thing, again, leans hard on that 80s nostalgia.
Absolutely.
And at some stage, you got to go beyond Macquarie concept art and George Lucas's original influences if you're going to expand Star Wars. Who knows when they're going to do that?
I'm sure it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen in this series, though. I think.
No!
The team that are on it, are sort of your Favreaus and Filoni. They're sort of the disciples at the altar, kind of thing. But I think the lady's name escapes me, but the series that she's making, which is sort of a different era and a bit more martial arts influenced and things, I think there'd be potential that they could really sort of push the boat out a little bit and try something different. But yeah, it'll be funny to see if we get to this sort of saturation point in Netflix. I mean, sorry, a bit like Netflix, I guess Disney Plus, where they just sort of churn stuff out with, I guess, not as much writing on it. Where you just kind of like, that Star Wars one, I didn't even bother with it, or that, or it's whether the volume kind of goes up like that, or whether they're sort of like, oh no, we can't sort of saturate the brand. We know they've already got like an Obi-Wan Kenobi one coming, and they've got a Cassian Andor one.
Which is the one that I think they can actually sort of broaden their horizons a bit. But.
Yeah, I don't think the Obi-Wan Kenobi one's probably going to push the boat out too much. I think that's got too much.
Very good.
Yeah. Could be very good, yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I think sort of tonally and visually it'll be sort of more of the same, I think. But I like the idea of a sort of a spy thriller. Sort of Rogue One could kind of be that, sort of a Cold War spy thriller. And that era is quite interesting as well. And
do you know what would be even better if Cassian was like Get Smart?
Dun, 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 like the doors start opening. Dun, 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 dun.
Because I think K2SO would make a good 99.
I think Catherine, our friend Catherine, would be very disappointed if they didn't take it seriously. She'd be waiting this long and it was some sort of wacky screwball comedy Cassian Andor. But I'm sure he could do it.
I'd like it.
Diego Luna. I like silly gags, so I hope that they do it.
I like people taking the piss.
Well, I mean, I know I think maybe the last time were you on here? Did we talk about that the last time, or maybe we've just discussed this amongst ourselves? Was that we were both big fans of the Harley Quinn show?
Oh yeah,
the cartoon which was just that perfect level of respect for the source material, but absolutely taking the mick out of it. And making fun of its tropes and things, and just going, oh god, if they could just do this in a Star Wars thing, that would just be fantastic.
Never happen.
I don't think it'd ever
never happen. Nah. But yeah, it would be awesome. Yeah.
Which would be a real bummer. But you never know. You never know. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
We could do our pitch. We could write our pitch to Lucasfilm. It's like, are you willing to risk it all?
Yeah, we've got a very big wins, big losses.
Yeah, big wins, good losses. I mean, we'll be amused, so maybe
not.
Maybe not. All right, mate. It's getting late here. We're going to wind up a little bit earlier tonight, but we have already cranked out a bunch of Peppa Pig episodes already here, and I wanted to make sure that I had an episode for this week because I missed last week, and I've got a lot on this going on. So I want to, just pull you up for your time, see where you're at, Mando wise. We'll check in again, I'm sure, towards the end, and see whether we get a follow up song or whether you.
Your numbers might suggest that nobody wants to hear me talking about Mando again.
I think everybody wants to hear what you say about Mando. We'll have to keep the football analogies going. Do they boot it home? Kick into the wind and get a nice scrappy win over the end, take the premiership. But we'll see. I was going to say, where can people catch you? But they can catch you on the Peppa Pig podcast.
That's right. Yeah, that's my main outlet for what podcast?
Self-expression.
where me and Josh just gently talk about being dads and Peppa Pig. So
that's right. It's all a bit more civilized over there.
Yeah.
We've passed 100 episodes quite recently, so if you haven't listened to that, please do, because we have a good old time doing it, and we just talk about the things that we like rather than the things that we don't, because we've never come into a bad episode of Peppa Pig, so that's for sure.
Not since hide and seek, but I think probably on average, I think once every 6 weeks there's probably a Star Wars reference on that podcast. So
you snidely get in a comment about someone who collects Star Wars toys and doesn't take them out of the box.
It's for your own good, Josh.
Yeah. It has. I've been looking over at the wall actually lately, and kind of going, I reckon some of these could go. Thinking about freeing up some space, because I'm kind of going, I like those ones. Those ones I don't even really care for. What are they actually doing there? But so we'll see. Maybe I'll do a fire sale live on the podcast or something, or just send some to a good home.
Live
Someone
auction.
who will appreciate them. Live auction. Well, we mentioned the Peppa Pig pod. If they want to catch you on the social medias, Matt, where do they find you?
Oh, I wouldn't recommend that.
That's it then? All right. We'll check the show notes, because I'll just put it in anyway. I'm not going to make you say it then. It's like, I wouldn't recommend it. So There you go. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening. You can catch us at starwarsspeltout.com. Thanks to people who keep still buying McClunky shirts. I'm still getting McClunky money every now and then, which is insane. We're not talking the heady days of
money.
We're not talking the heady days of a year ago, but every now and then I'll get a couple of notifications going, someone's just bought another McClunky shirt. I'm like, oh, wow.
Hey, that McClunky money bought us an espresso pod machine down in the Peppa Pig level, so I'm not arguing.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we afford this fancy furniture. All right. Well, thank you, mate.
Thanks, Josh, and good night, my little Mandos.